Hello everyone. If you are preparing for AWS certification, either AWS Cloud Practitioner or AWS Solution Architect exam, then this video series going to help you too much as in this AWS Certification Capsule series, where we will go through as many questions as possible along with their explanation. So it will help you to learn and prepare for your exam. This is part 1 of the series, and I hope this video will help you for your exam. So, let's start. Let's talk about this question. A company has an application that stores sensitive data. The company is required by government regulations to store multiple copies of its data. What would be the most resilient and cost-effective option to meet this requirement? Options we have: A. Amazon EFSB, Amazon RDS. C. AWS Storage Gateway. D. Amazon S3. Correct answer for this question is option D. Amazon S3. Although RDS sounds like a good option, it does not come cheap. S3 stores information in multiple availability zones to maximize durability and availability. Let's talk about next questions. A company is using AWS Key Management Service, AWS KMS, to secure their Amazon RDS databases. An auditor has recommended that the company log all use of their AWS KMS keys. What is the simplest solution? Options we have: A. Associate AWS KMS metrics with Amazon Cloud Watch. B. Use AWS CloudTrail to log AWS KMS key usage. C. Deploy a monitoring agent on the RDS instances. D. Pull AWS KMS periodically with a scheduled job. Correct answer for this question is option B, that we need to use AWS CloudTrail to log AWS KMS key usage. Because AWS KMS is integrated with AWS CloudTrail to provide you with logs of all key usage to help meet your regulatory and compliance needs. Let's talk about next questions. A solutions architect is designing a stateful web application that will run for 1 year, 24/7, and then be decommissioned. Load on this platform will be constant, using a number of R4.8's large instances. Key drivers for this system include high availability, but elasticity is not required. What is the most cost-effective way to purchase compute for this platform? Options we have: A. Scheduled reserved instances. B. Convertible reserved instances. C. Standard reserved instances. D. Spot instances. Correct answer for this question is option C. Standard reserved instances. Because the standard reserves instances can be purchased for 1 year or 3, and will provide continuous service to the app. The scheduled instances are not an option since every month the service would be interrupted. Let's talk about next questions. A media company asked the solutions architect to design a highly available storage solution to serve as a centralized document store for their Amazon EC2 instances. The storage solution needs to be POSIX compliant, scale dynamically, and be able to serve up to 100 concurrent EC2 instances. Which solution meets these requirements? Options we have: A. Create an Amazon S3 bucket and store all of the documents in this bucket. B. Create an Amazon EBS volume and allow multiple users to mount that volume to their EC2 instances. C. Use Amazon Glacier to store all of the documents. D. Create an Amazon Elastic File System, Amazon EFS, to store and share the documents. Correct answer for this question is answer B. Because, when you hear POSIX compliant, first thought is normally AWS EFS. Amazon EFS provides elastic, shared file storage that is POSIX compliant. The file system you create supports concurrent read and write access from multiple Amazon EC2 instances and is accessible from all of the availability zones in the AWS region where it is created. Let's talk about next questions. A solution architect has a 2-tier application with a single Amazon EC2 instance web server and Amazon RDS MySQL multi-US DB instances. The architect is re-architecting the application for high availability by adding instances in a second availability zone. Which additional services will improve the availability of the application? Choose 2. Options we have: A. Autoscaling group. B. AWS Cloud Trail. C. ELB Classic Load Balancer. D. Amazon DynamoDB. E. Amazon Elasti Cache. Correct answer for this question are option A, Auto Scaling Group, and option C, ELB Classic Load Balancer. Because the key ask here is to make a single web server instance, which is a single point of failure, SPOF, to multiple web servers to provide high availability. It is possible by deploying EC2 instances in Auto Scaling Group behind the ELB Classic Load Balancer in multiple availability zones. Let's talk about next questions. A company is migrating its data center to AWS. As part of this migration, there is a 3-tier web application that has strict data at rest encryption requirements. The customer deploys this application on Amazon EC2 using Amazon EBS, and now must provide encryption at rest. How can this requirement be met without changing the application? Options we have: A. Use AWS Key Management Service, and move the encrypted data to Amazon S3. B. Use an application-specific encryption API with AWS server-side encryption. C. Use encrypted EBS storage volumes with AWS managed keys. D. Use third-party tools to encrypt the EBS data volumes with Key Management Service. Bring your own keys. Correct answer for this question is option C. Although the question says about not changing the application, it doesn't mention anything about downtime. Let's talk about next questions. A solutions architect is developing software on AWS that requires access to multiple AWS services, including an Amazon EC2 instance. This is a security-sensitive application, and AWS credentials such as Access Key ID and Secret Access Key need to be protected and cannot be exposed anywhere in the system. What security measure would satisfy these requirements? Options we have: A. Store the AWS Access Key ID/Secret Access Key combination in software comments. B. Assign an IAM user to the Amazon EC2 instance. C. Assign an IAM role to the Amazon EC2 instance. D. Enable multi-factor authentication for the AWS root account. Correct answer for this question is option C. Because IAM user cannot be attached to EC2 instance, but IAM role can be attached to the Amazon EC2 instance. Let's talk about next questions. An AWS workload in a VPC is running a legacy database on an Amazon EC2 instance. Data is stored on a 200 GB Amazon EBS, GP2, volume. At peak load times, logs show excessive wait time. What solution should be implemented to improve database performance using persistent storage? Options we have: A. Migrate the data on the Amazon EBS volume to an SSD back volume. B. Change the EC2 instance type to one with EC2 instance store volumes. C. Migrate the data on the EBS volume to provisioned IOPS SSD, IO1. D. Change the EC2 instance type to one with burstable performance. Correct answer for this question is option C. Because provisioned IOPS storage should warranty an IO operation is handled by the storage system in time, therefore relieving the wait times. Let's talk about next questions. A company's website receives 50,000 requests each second, and the company wants to use multiple applications to analyze the navigation patterns of the users on their website so that the experience can be personalized. What can a solutions architect use to collect page clicks for the website and process them sequentially for each user? Options we have: A. Amazon Kinesis Stream. B. Amazon SQS Standard QC. Amazon SQS FIFO QD. AWS Cloud Trail. Correct answer for this question is option A, Amazon Kinesis Stream. Because whenever we need to collect page clicks for a website and process them sequentially, then Amazon Kinesis Stream service is the best option to use. Let's talk about next questions. A company wants to migrate a highly transactional database to AWS. Requirements state that the database has more than 6 terabytes of data and will grow exponentially. Which solution should a solutions architect recommend? Options we have: A. Amazon Aurora. B. Amazon Redshift. C. Amazon DynamoDB. D. Amazon RDS MySQL. Correct answer for this question option A, Amazon Aurora. Because, if you have to choose between Aurora and RDS MySQL in exam, go with Aurora since Amazon says it's more faster, scalable and highly available than MySQL. Let's talk about next questions. To connect your corporate data center to AWS, you need at least which of the following components? Choose 2. Options we have: A. Internet Gateway. B. Virtual Private Gateway. C. NAT Gateway. D. Customer Gateway. Correct answers for this question are option D, Customer Gateway, and option B, Virtual Private Gateway. Because, to connect AWS from your data center, you need a customer gateway, which is the customer side of a connection, and a virtual private gateway, which is the AWS side of the connection. An internet gateway is used to connect a VPC with the internet, whereas a NAT gateway connects to the servers running in the private subnet in order to connect to the internet. Let's talk about next questions. Which of the following is the name of a record type is used in a zone file? Options we have: A. CNAME, canonical name. B. TTL, time to live. C. Record type. D. Record data. Correct answer for this question is option A, CNAME, which is known as canonical name. On the other hand, other options like TTL, record type, and record data are all configuration elements, not record types. Let's talk about next questions. Which of the following describes the function of a name server? Options we have: A. Name servers resolve IP addresses from domain names. B. Registering domain names with ICANN. C. Registering domain names with VeriSign. D. Applying routing policies to network packets. Correct answer for this question is option A. Name servers resolve IP addresses from domain names, allowing clients to connect to resources. Domain registration is performed by domain name registrars. Routing policies are applied through record sets within hosted zones. Let's talk about next questions. You need to manually take EBS snapshots of several hundred volumes. Which type of Systems Manager document enables you to do this? Options we have: A. Command. B. Automation. C. Policy. D. Manual. Correct answer for this question is option B, Automation. Because, automation documents let you perform actions against your AWS resources, including taking EBS snapshots. Although they're called automation documents, you can still manually execute them. A command document performs actions within a Linux or Windows instance. A policy document works only with State Manager and can't take an EBS snapshot. There's no manual document type. Let's talk about next questions. An application running on an EC2 instance has been updated to send large amounts of data to a server in your data center for backup. Previously, the instance generated very little traffic. Which guard duty finding type is this likely to trigger? A. Behavior. B. Backdoor. C. Stealth. D. Resource consumption. Correct answer for this question is option A, Behavior. Because, the behavior finding type is triggered by an instance sending abnormally large amounts of data or communicating on a protocol and port that it typically doesn't. The backdoor finding type indicates that an instance has resolved a DNS name associated with a command and control server or is communicating on TCP port 25. The stealth finding type is triggered by weakening password policies or modifying a CloudTrail configuration. The resource consumption finding type is triggered when an IAM user launches an EC2 instance when they've never done so. Let's talk about next questions. Which of the following SQS types can handle over 50,000 in-flight messages? Options we have: A. FIFO. B. Standard. C. Delay. D. Short. Correct answer for this question is option B, Standard. Because, a standard queue can handle up to 120,000 in-flight messages. A FIFO queue can handle up to about 20,000. Delay and short are not valid queue types. Let's talk about next questions. How can you assign a public IP address to a running instance that doesn't have one? Options we have: A. Allocate an any and associate it with the instance's primary EIP. B. Allocate an EIP and associate it with the instance's primary any. C. Configure the instance to use an automatically assigned public IP. D. Allocate an EIP and change the private IP address of the instance's any to match. Correct answer for this question is option B. Because assigning an EIP to an instance is a two-step process. First, you must allocate an EIP, and then you must associate it with an any. You can't allocate an any, and there's no such thing as an instance's primary EIP. Configuring the instance to use an automatically assigned public IP must occur at instance creation. Changing an any's private IP to match an EIP doesn't actually assign a public IP to the instance, because the any's private address is still private. Let's talk about next questions. You are engaged in a deep audit of the use of your AWS resources, and you need to better understand the structure and content of your S3 server access logs. Which of the following operational details are likely to be included in S3 server access logs? Choose 3. Options we have: A. Source bucket name. B. Action requested. C. Current bucket size. D. API bucket creation calls. E. Response status. Correct answers for this question are option A. Source bucket name. Option B. Action requested, and option E. Response status. Because S3 server access logs don't report the source bucket's current size. They don't track API calls as it is covered by AWS Cloud Trail. Let's talk about next questions. The sensitivity of the data your company works with means that the instances you run must be secured through complete physical isolation. What should you specify as you configure a new instance? Options we have: A. Dedicated host tenancy. B. Shared tenancy. C. Dedicated instance tenancy. D. Isolated tenancy. Correct answer for this question is option A. Dedicated host tenancy. Because only dedicated host tenancy offers full isolation. Shared tenancy instances will often share hardware with operations belonging to other organizations. Dedicated instance tenancy instances may be hosted on the same physical server as other instances within your account. Let's talk about next questions. You want to use nested stacks to create an EC2 auto-scaling group and the supporting VPC infrastructure. These stacks do not need to pass any information to stacks outside of the nested stack hierarchy. Which of the following must you add to the template that creates the auto-scaling group? Options we have: A. An export field to the output section. B. A resource of the type AWS, EC2, VPC. C. A resource of the type AWS, CloudFormation, StackD. FN, import, value. Correct answer for this question is option C. Because when using nested stacks, the parent stack defines a resource of the type AWS, CloudFormation, stack, which points to the template used to generate the nested stack. Because of this, there's no need to define a VPC resource directly in the template that creates the parent stack. There is also no need to export stack output values because the nested stacks do not need to pass any information to stacks outside of the nested stack hierarchy. For this same reason, you don't need to use the FN, import value intrinsic function, since it is used to import values exported by another stack. So, that's it in this video. I hope you like the content and helped you for your AWS exam preparation. As it is just part 1 of the series. Stay tuned and subscribe for more upcoming videos. Thank you for watching.